Welcome to Consulting Mastery, where we help B2B consultants master the business of consulting. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Ahmed. Join us as we explore the art of delivering outstanding client value, earning a higher income, and thriving in today's marketplace.
So here's the thing. We talk about marketing a lot. Probably most used word on this podcast. But my question to you is, have we ever talked about what it really is? What is marketing anyways?
It's worth taking the time to define it. And I'm going to give you my definition / my interpretation. I'm not going to give you something very textbook or academic, but I will ground this in, a statement made by, the father of modern management theory, Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker famously said, "The purpose of a business is to create and keep a customer." And he continues to say, therefore, the business enterprise has two and only two basic functions: marketing and innovation. All the rest are costs. So what's Mr. Drucker saying? Mr. Drucker saying, he's clarifying what's the purpose of a business. That's worth clarification. Why do you have a business? And I'm not talking about your personal goals or ambitions in being a business owner, but what is the purpose of a business enterprise? And his definition is it's to create and keep a customer. And then he neatly defines the two most important functions in a business that deliver on those outcomes. Marketing creates the customer, and innovation, or you can think about that as product or solution development, i.e., making things that keep customers happy, is the other part of the business. Everything else is, in his words, costs, and I would argue details. Yes, there's sales and HR and customer service and operations, and these are all things that are necessary to run a business, but they're not the fundamental drivers of a business. What drives a business's results, i.e., what creates and keeps customers, is marketing and innovation. And in that, implicitly, is a definition of marketing. The role of marketing is to create a customer. Now, marketing looks and feels different and has a different purpose in different industries. Marketing a inexpensive, offshore made t-shirt is not the same as marketing a very expensive enterprise level software product, is not the same as selling an advisory or a consulting service that's highly intangible. These things are not the same. So when we talk about marketing, we have to talk about them in the context of what we're marketing and what we're selling. And obviously, we're talking here about selling consulting services, or fundamentally selling advice and intangibles. And I'm going to give you, my perspective on the role of marketing in this industry. And it's fundamentally about shifting the beliefs that your customer, your prospect, your market has about the problems they're facing and the solutions available to them and what's required to get the results that they want to get.
100% agree. And before we go there, I want to back up a little bit, because I don't think it can be overstated that what you're talking about is marketing being one of two key components of a business, right? One of two. And what that means is that it is a part of the business. It's fully integrated. It's critical. And the reason I want to call this out, and probably my perspective is different than yours as a marketer, right? As someone who came from marketing. So often, marketing is seen as just the means to an end, right? It's just that thing that needs to happen in order for me to do the thing that's really my business, which is serving my client. And what we're saying here, the argument is that it's considerably more than that. And that, quite frankly, the sort of tentacles of your marketing process do reach all the way through your business and vice versa. And so I want to say that out loud because often this idea of marketing as a necessary evil comes up, especially with consultants, right? Because they didn't get into this to do the marketing. They got into this to do the thing, right? To deliver the solution, to solve the problem, to serve the client, to, relieve the pain. And so before we get to the how it works, I think there's this very critical shift in thinking that needs to happen that allows you to see marketing as a critical part of your business, not the first thing you give up when you get busy, not the thing that you can try to, hand off to somebody else as quickly as you can, because it is truly, setting the stage, right? It is creating the clients. It is the thing that's prescribing how you're going to deliver the service. And so I think it's important to recognize that first before we get into the what does it mean to do it effectively. Because if you don't believe that, then you are in, much bigger trouble than you'll be if you do believe that and you're just not executing particularly well.
Well, here's a question I'd like to ask an audience whenever I share this Peter Drucker quote in a workshop setting or something like that. When we look at these two functions, he's very clear: marketing and innovation. Marketing creates the customer, innovation keeps the customer. When we look at these two functions, marketing and innovation, which one's more important? And I'll usually get a mix of answers. Some will say marketing. In a room of consultants, typically, and I've tested this very unscientifically, okay? Typically, 70 to 80% of the room is going to say innovation. And I'm sure if I poll a room of marketers, they'll say marketing. Unsurprisingly, right? Because a room full of consultants, these are people that live and breathe their solution. That's all they think about. That's their expertise. They're expert consultants at finance, operations, HR, whatever. They know their solution. They know what they deliver. They believe that's the most important thing. But when we think about this, like really critically, can you have a great business can you have a business that is strong in innovation but has no marketing? That business will cease to exist, because if you can't create customers, you have no customers to keep. You could last a while, word of mouth. But word of mouth referrals is a form of marketing. So assume you don't have that. You could last a while with your current clients. They will eventually leave. And if you have no way of creating new customers, you'll be out of business. Can you have a business that has marketing, but is poor on innovation? I'm not saying it'd be a great business, but if you have a business that can create customers, at least you will churn them quickly. You will lose them quickly. Absolutely. But at least you're able to create customers. So you can't have a business with no marketing or with poor marketing. It'll eventually run its course. Obviously, ideally, you have both. So I'm not arguing for a focus on marketing over and above and at the expense of innovation. But the reality is the folks that we're talking to here are over-indexing on innovation. They're overweighting innovation at the expense of marketing, because what we hear is what you just mentioned. What we hear is, why I'm going to outsource this to an agency. Good luck with that. Well, I'm going to bring on a guy to come and sell for me. I'm going to bring a guy, call him a VP of sales, poach him from another company, and he's going to go and sell stuff for me. Good luck with that. All right, I'm just going to hire kind of a marketing intern, get somebody out of business school with a Bachelor of Commerce and specialization in marketing, and I'm going to have them go and create some stuff on social media. Good luck with that. Unless marketing becomes a central focus of the leadership alongside and along with innovation, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and it's not to say that people can't come in and do some execution for you. But when we're talking to the folks we're talking to, right, highly qualified, capable consultants. The real purpose of marketing is to have people see who you are, right? Have people understand what you can deliver, whether that's you as a solopreneur, whether that's you with your organization, doesn't really matter. Message is the same. What you need to be able to build is belief in trust in what it is that you do. And someone else can't just do that on your behalf, right? They can support you in that. They can, press the buttons and make things happen. But in the end, if you think about why you're doing this, which is usually because you have a passion for solving a problem that only you can solve in the way that you solve it, that's the message to get across. And that's what you're doing with marketing.
And I think let's talk a little bit about this attitude that you referred to earlier, with where marketing is viewed as kind of a necessary evil. People say this in a whole variety of terms, right? Well, I don't really want to do marketing, but I understand I need to do it to get some clients. Well, I really just want to focus on, what I want to do is I want to focus on delivering value to clients. That's what I want to do. The other stuff not really good at, doesn't interest me. That attitude will lead to nothing but failure. There's no way for you to do marketing effectively with that attitude. Yeah, you were saying?
Well, I was just going to say what's really interesting, just when you said it, it kind of popped up, the notion that what you want to do is provide value to people, and not thinking that marketing is that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
Wildly fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because here's the flip side. Here's what we also hear. Folks come out of big firms. Well, big or small, doesn't matter. Folks who are working at a firm and are doing the lion's share of the delivery. Clients are fed to them, and they're doing the lion's share of the delivery. You know what they complain about? How come I'm doing all the work, but I'm not getting all the money? Because they think that the work is strictly the delivery of the service, and they don't consider that part of the work is also acquiring the customer. So when the firm they work for, big or small, pays them a salary or pays them a piece of the client's revenue, but not all of it, they think they're getting ripped off because they think they're doing all the work. What they're failing to recognize and acknowledge is that getting the client is a huge chunk of the work, and delivery is important. Absolutely. So therefore, when you go independent, and that's obviously who we work with. We work with people that have gone independent or built a firm and are now responsible for generating the revenue, creating the client. And the reason why people do that typically is because they want the full pie, right? They want the entire share of the revenue. They don't want to be taking a salary or taking a piece of the pie with the rest of it going to the firm or to the company or the organization. They want the whole pie. But if you want the whole pie, you better figure out how to create customers. That's what entitles you to the whole pie, not by looking at it as a necessary evil to create customers or something that you grudgingly have to do. You have to embrace that to earn the pie.
So do we want to slide into talking about how to do it effectively, what it means?
Well, let's provide a simple framework. And obviously there's details. And if you want the details, come and work with us, right? 90daypipeline.com/talk. But here's the basic framework that we help clients with. Currently, the clients that you serve, once you've identified who you want to serve and what type of clients, and you're really clear and specific about your target market, and that's a whole other conversation that we've had many times. But assuming a very clear and narrow focus, what you want to identify is, what does your market currently believe? And this is where we leverage customer research, which we've talked about again at length on the podcast. What does your market currently believe? What are their beliefs around what? The problems they're facing, the solutions available to them, what's working, what's not working, why it's working, why it's not working, the paths in front of them, What's going to affect their results? So on and so forth. What's the current set of beliefs? Because the argument here is they are where they are, and they're getting the results that they're currently getting based on the beliefs that they currently have, because those beliefs are driving their actions and their decisions. And then on the flip side, to also define what are the beliefs I want my market or I want my customer to have that are conducive to working with me. In other words, what do they need to believe to work with you specifically? Now, this also requires clarity on your part around what you're delivering, what your solution is, what your offer is, how it works. And if you don't have that clarity, you can't do this exercise. But if you have that clarity, you have an offer, what we call a results mechanism. Now we can define, okay, well, in order to engage with this offer, engage with this results mechanism, engage with this solution, you got to believe these things. And then what you have is a gap. You have a delta. There's the set of beliefs that the market currently has, and there's the set of beliefs that you want them to have in order to transact with you. And the role of your marketing is to bridge the gap, is to bring customers and clients and prospects from one set of beliefs into another set of beliefs. And if you do that well, the logical consequence is they buy.
And again, to say something that, probably resonates with the consultants in the space, right? They buy, which is important, but let's recognize that you're doing it by helping them understand something, right? Like through that process, they are learning. Through that process, they're questioning, whatever is having them spin their wheels. Through that process, they are taking advantage of your expertise. So this isn't, Mad Men Scotch drinking marketing, right? Make a fancy ad, get people's attention.
Hold
This
on,
is a
I'm
different
not Don
thing.
Draper. What are you trying to say, Carrie? Wait,
Well,
I'm not
it's
following
up to you
here.
to decide.
Just
But this is about doing exactly the same thing that you do in this thing that you artificially separate from marketing, right? This thing you call delivery. This is really doing the same thing, maybe in a different medium, maybe a different context. But everything that you do from the moment that your prospect engages with you, whether that's live or on social media or, in whatever way they hear about you through a referral conversation, everything you do from that moment until the end of your engagement follows the same theme, right? Follows the same path. At some point, because you're going to make a sale, there's a line between, marketing and delivery. But the reality is it's all part of the same exercise, right? It's all part of the same messaging. It's all part of the same way of authentically showing up in the world and attracting the people that you want to attract so that you can support them through whatever it is that you're supporting them through.
It's a great way to contextualize what we were talking about earlier in terms of understanding value creation and the process of value creation. It does not, to your point, it does not begin when your service begins. And if you think about it that way, you're missing the point. Think about, just to get really concrete about what you just said, think about, the spectrum of your client's journey from 0 to 100. Your client, your market, they're currently at 0. It's their starting point. And you ultimately, through the delivery of your service, want to get them to 100. Okay. But if they stay at 0, they'll never engage with you because your solution maybe gets them from 30 to 100 or 40 to 100. So how do you get them from 0 to 30 or 0 to 40 or 0 to 50, whatever it may be? That's the job of marketing. That's the value creation that happens through the marketing process, gets them to the point where they are ready to engage with you. And, here's a really meta example. Guess what our solution is to get people from 0 to 30 or 0 to 40 or 0 to 50? And among other things, there's a whole suite of solutions that we have. But among other things, one of the most important ones is this podcast. If you sign up for a consultation with us and you are interested in working with us, we're going to send you a whole bunch of material. And among that material is going to be a number of podcast episodes from this show that are necessary for you to consume in order for us to have an intelligent conversation about whether we should work together. Why? Because I don't want clients that are at zero. They're hard to serve. I want clients that are already bought into our beliefs, our ideologies, our philosophies, that they can demonstrate that there's a level of belief that they have that's aligned with where we want them to be in order for us to serve them best in a paid engagement. And so this podcast is designed to get you there and also validate that you are there. So if somebody comes to us and I say, I've listened to the podcast, and they go, well, I've never listened to it. I go listen to the podcast. That's going to tell both you and me if we're ready for this conversation. And if we're not, that's fine. If we are, let's have the conversation.
What I will say is, as much as that is the case, right? That is a purpose of this podcast. The other thing that's important to recognize is we don't just save that information, lock it up in a box, and hand it out to someone who's potentially going to work with us, right? There is a reason that we also just put it out into the world. And that is because, like all of the consultants who are listening, like the folks we work with, in addition to wanting to have a great business, we want to make impact. We want to give people the information that they need so that, over time they can do better, they can be better, they can, find more success, whatever that means to them. And so, the reason I think that's important is when we go back to what most consultants want to do, that's what it is, right? That's the delivery. And so we are also out here kind of happily providing this information to folks who will never work with us. And that's okay. And what it's also allowing at the same time is for an alignment to start to occur. And the people that do listen to us, who get it, right? Who believe in the way that we work. And it's not the only way to work. It's not the right way. But where we will find success is when we're both on the same page, both heading the right direction or the same direction. And so the reason I want to say that is that that's going to be true of a lot of your marketing efforts, right? That's going to be true of whatever you put out on social media. That's going to be true of even introductory conversations you have with people. You are still out there providing, some level of service and doing it for the reasons that you got into business in the first place. And also, you're going to build customers because of it.
So I think impact and income are correlated. They tend to move together. The broader and the wider and the deeper your impact, the greater your income. But I think we need to redefine, to your point, impact. Because clients come to us all the time. They go, well, I want to have more impact on my clients. But your clients are not the only people that you can impact. You have the ability, especially now. This wasn't true 30, 40, 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, to the extent that it is today. You now have the opportunity to have much broader impact on your entire market via marketing content and thought leadership and social media. And if all you're focused on is creating impact for your clients, that's not a bad thing to be focused on that. But if you're only focused on that, your income is going to be limited. If you also, in addition to having that deep impact on your clients, have a method, a process by which you can have broad impact on your market at large, you will A, have more impact, and B, make more money.